Hello, Oracles! Well, we've got Tesla pushing even higher ahead of these rate hikes. So maybe I'm wrong, maybe we don't end up filling these gaps down below. We've been joking in the comments about, hey, I'm talking about the gaps all the time. Some people aren't liking me talking about them because it sounds bearish, but the more I talk about it, the more the stock is running. So do I stop talking about it and have it come down? Potentially, who knows? So I'm just going to try to be brief about it. We all know that those gaps exist. They may or may not get filled. We are now currently on an upward channel. Looking at the charts right now, we had a nice V bounce with us hitting the bottom of around 265 twice. So right now that looks like that is our lower support before we get to those two gaps. So maybe we don't end up filling it. I've been wrong before, but this is why my strategy is the be less wrong strategy, which is why I dollar cost average daily, and then I have the cash on the side to add in. Worst case scenario is we don't come down to fill those gaps and I end up spending that cash at a little bit of a higher price. Not a big deal. Similar to many people who sell puts, the worst case scenario if they are selling puts and the price doesn't come down to their level is they just don't end up getting those shares and they miss out on a further run up. But they still get the premium. The way I do it, I just don't get a premium. That's all. Not financial advice. That's just how I'm doing it to be less wrong. So again, if we don't come down, not a big deal. I'm still doing well. Now, before we get too much further in, I want to welcome our newest member to the channel, Mike Schullo. Thank you so much for becoming a member of this channel. If you guys would like to become a member as well, you can check out the pinned comment down below. You can sign up down there. Lots of different perks. We also have a Discord chat and a Patreon. All that is down in the description below as well. I also want to congratulate Willie Hayes today for getting his 100th share of Tesla. Congratulations, Willie. Great job on that. I am working my way up to that myself. Pushing up to about 34 shares. I'll hit my 34th share tomorrow. Now, as I did state previously, I said that I was going to be selling out of some positions that were losers for me that I didn't want anymore, and I was going to move that money into Tesla. Well, today I did that with Nano Dimension. I sold out all of my shares in that. I only had 10 shares, wasn't a lot, but I took that $25, moved it right over into Tesla as well. So that gave me more shares in Tesla. Now, I'm actually waiting to see what happens because when we saw the running up today, kind of anticipating something that could be more of a run after the FOMC meeting, I'm going to wait and see how the market reacts. If we continue to run, I may just hold off on selling those positions. Maybe I'll put some stops in there just to make a little bit more back on them instead of taking as big of a loss. If we end up selling off, I'll just dump them immediately and wait for us to find a nice settling point and then add that money into Tesla. So with the FOMC meeting coming up over the next 2 days, what can we expect? Well, we've been getting a lot of good momentum going forward, and there's been a lot of people shorting lately. So does this mean that we're going to fall off and come back down, or are we going to end up pushing through this? Looking at the S&P alone, the S&P bounced off of 3850 today, which was a nice support that they had. So a lot of people were thinking we were going to come down to 3300. We did not. We bounced and came back up. So we have 2 days that are going to be coming up with the FOMC meeting. We will see how it trades going into the FOMC interest rate decision that comes out on Wednesday. It will be out at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, and the Fed is expected to come out with a 75 basis point hike. We are currently at 2.25% to 2.5%, so bringing in a 75 basis point hike will put us at 3 to 3.25% when it comes to the federal funds rate. Now, the Fed does like to keep their interest rates between 2.5% and 3%. It's always fluctuating, but they like to keep it there because that means that usually the federal fund rate is usually in line with inflation, and they like to keep a 2 to 3% inflation rate because that's what keeps the economy moving forward. So them pushing to over 3% means that they're really trying to encourage inflation to come down more. Now, Jerome Powell has mentioned Paul Volcker's name several times. He even mentioned again just yesterday. So, he's not against, bringing up interest rates super high to get inflation in line. The problem is, looking back at all the supply chain issues and a lot of people who have high inventory levels, if they continue to push the interest rates too high, too fast, we all of a sudden 3 to 4 months down the road get to a point where we have natural deflation going on, and high interest rates on top of it could end up pushing things into a downward spiral, which is not good either. Then the Fed would need to U-turn. So we've seen it happen in the past. That's usually the signal that the next bull market is going to be starting. So just some things to pay attention to as we go over the next couple of days with the federal interest rate hike. And today we did get a note from Alex Potter over at Piper Sandler talking about the wait times over in Shanghai and the fact that they are coming down so low, and that could be scary for peers out there. Thinking about NIO right now, and their ET5 has a wait time of 23 weeks. Tesla was at that level for many vehicles. Right now they're looking at 1 to 4, 1 to 8, 1 to 10 weeks for most of their models. So when you're looking at over in China and people are like, I want my car now, they can be looking at and say, well, I can actually get a Tesla now. So more people are going to want them now. And because Tesla has been able to ramp up production even faster, that means that demand is higher and production is higher, which means that sales are going to be even higher. So we have a lot of bears coming out saying that, well, Tesla's demand must be going away because, look at how low their lead times are going. Well, yeah, if you didn't take into account production speeding up and ramping up as fast as it is, sure, that would be a concern. But when Tesla has ramped up production as quickly as they have from 2,000 vehicles per day to over 3,000 vehicles per day within 2 months, that tells me that the production is speeding up significantly to be able to catch up to some of this demand and get themselves to that sweet spot that they want to be at, which is about that 6-week mark. And we also know full well that Tesla prioritizes domestic deliveries in the last month of the quarter, which is where we are at now. So again, we've said it before, we'll check lead times again when we get to October, and they're focusing more on exports. And Alex also discussed how, if Tesla is truly being able to overcome their bottlenecks that they have seen with the supply chain issues, what does that mean for peers as well? Because the way I look at it is, we went through a time over the last 2 years where everybody was constrained by chips and batteries. Tesla thrived through those times. Now granted, Tesla had less vehicles overall that they had to supply with these chips. Yes, Legacy Auto has their ICE vehicles. They delivered more vehicles than Tesla overall over the last 2 years. But Tesla thrived coming through this. Now as we are transitioning over to EVs and EVs become more important, Tesla now is going to overcome these bottlenecks even more. What's going to happen when Tesla doesn't have to face these headwinds? They were thriving when they had massive headwinds hitting them. Now they don't have the headwinds anymore. How much faster are they going to pull away from competition? Because competition still can't even get production up and running, and they can't do it profitably. So if they can't do that, and they're still facing some of the chip shortages that they're dealing with, we've got Ford coming out saying that they've got $1 billion in unexpected supply chain costs that they are going to be facing for this quarter as well. We know that Legacy Auto is still facing challenges. Tesla is still facing these challenges as well, but they have anticipated all of these challenges, and they have an agile culture within their company to be able to overcome these challenges even better than everyone else. Now, as we go forward, they've already foreseen, hey, we're anticipating lithium and battery challenges coming up in the near future, so they're looking at refining lithium and other battery material components. So what's going to happen when we get 2 to 3 years down the road and those become a constraint? Now, all of a sudden, Legacy Auto and other EV makers that are trying to come up with their EVs are struggling to get supplies again. Tesla is now supplying themselves. So they're going to overcome these and pull away even further. And then in some other news over in Japan that I had read about was they've got a test program that is going on right now with wireless charging in their roads for EVs. They did a test on a small EV that was doing 15 kilometers per hour, continuously running on these roads, continuously charging the vehicle. So this is obviously a technology that is still a long ways to go to come to all roads, but just thinking about robo-taxis coming up, if we have robo-taxis in cities that normally won't be moving at a fast pace, thinking about like a New York City, a lot of traffic there, cars sitting in traffic regularly, if they had these things under the roads for robo-taxis, maybe robo-taxis don't need to charge. This is something I was listening to Alexandra and Nick talk about on their discussion yesterday. If you guys haven't seen it, definitely check it out. It was an awesome discussion. And talking about how with robo-taxis, you want to make sure that they have good mileage on these robo-taxis because you want them running as long as possible before you need to charge them. Well, if you've got roads that are charging these vehicles on a regular basis, you could theoretically run your robo-taxis around the clock with these roads in place. Just a thought for the future down the road, thinking about how a lot of technologies that we don't think could exist all of a sudden become reality in the future. This could potentially become reality in some cities down the road in the future. Just something that I was thinking about in my head. Let me know your thoughts on that one. So jumping back over to the charts, again, we are on an upward channel, but the upward channel is not filled with a lot of heavy volume. So not to be a bear or spread any FUD, just saying, hey, we are on an upward channel. We are breaking out of this, looking good. We have that 312 to 315 level above us as a resistance. We're going to need some serious volume to pump through this. Now, if we get the FOMC meeting and the entire market does rally based upon the way the charts have been looking for the S&P, there's a good chance that's enough volume that could come in and push us through that 312 to 315 level. Just something to pay attention to as we're moving forward. The RSI right now is at 61. Now looking back to last year when we got the Hertz news and the Q3 delivery and production numbers, we ended up pushing up to an RSI of 90. Now over 70 means that usually that means that you're overbought. So you usually get a sell off afterwards. We pushed all the way up to 90. So being at a 61 right now, going into the next 2 weeks with the FOMC meeting, if we end up pushing higher after that, we've got AI Day 2022, then we've got production and delivery numbers, then we've got the Twitter deal that's going to be having their court date on October 17th. A lot of good stuff that's going on for Tesla. So we'll see how high and far we can push. We've gone on many 21-day runs in the past. Usually that came during a bull market. Let's see if we can have it happen again now. We don't know. We'll pay attention to these charts and see how we're moving forward. Again, the next 2 days I think are going to be pivotal to decide which way we are going to move, one way or the other. Are we going to continue this upward trend, or are we going to end up breaking that and come back down? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support and feedback. If you have not subscribed, please do so down below. Sign yourself up for notifications. I am over on Twitter at OracleTim1. I share all the latest Tesla news, pertinent stock market information, and all of my daily trades. We do have a Discord chat. That link is down in the description. And if you'd like to support the channel any further, we do have a Patreon. That link is also in the description. Thank you so much. Have a great one.